Are you okay, pal?
I had a rough day on the job.
Are you going home now?
I was about to.
Well then, you just fulfilled the first rule of law enforcement. Make sure when your shift is over, you go home alive.
Armchair.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, y'all. Get your morning started off right. Weekdays with the Armchair Quarterbacks, riding shotgun with you wherever you're heading.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello, and how are you? Early in the morning, I say good morning. Hello, and how are you?
Armchair.
Just start fresh someplace else. You know, no job, no family, just walk away. That's my number one fantasy.
Number one fantasy pick, Don.
David Johnson?
David Johnson. Good.
David
That's
Johnson.
good.
Great choice. Make sure to join the Armchair Quarterbacks right here. We'll answer all your questions, pickups, trades, you name it. You want to win your league? Then listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. And don't be scared to tap that app. Find the Armchair Quarterbacks app today.
Fantasy football time. It's fantasy.
CBS Sports Radio, your home for all things sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, coast to coast. Great sports talk expected here. CBS Sports Radio.
If you're looking for gifts or stuff for yourself from all teams, from all sports, it's MVP Collectibles in the St. Augustine Outlets Mall. Suite 245 across from the food court, MVP Collectibles has all 32 NFL teams, every SEC, every ACC, teams from the Big Ten, and 10 different Major League Baseball teams. That's MVP Collectibles. It's where the Armchair Quarterbacks can be found just before game day to get our man cave popping no matter what team you love. Wake up, y'all. It's the Armchair Quarterbacks Wake Up Show. Catch us on CBS Sports, the Armchair Quarterbacks app, free to download on Google Android, Apple iPhone, and Facebook Live. We'll get you going in the morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central.
What happened? Oh, man, he promised he wouldn't take the chairs. What the hell happened? How are you locked in there? Where the hell's all of our stuff? Well, this guy came by to look at the unit, and he said he didn't think it was big enough to fit a grown man. So you got in voluntarily? I was trying to make a sale. Oh, man, if I ever run into that guy again, you know what I'm going to do? Bend over?
One summer day in 1839 at Cooperstown, New York, on the shores of Lake Otsego, the local academy was playing a game of town ball against Green's select school. The rules of town ball were so loose that every hit was fair, and boys sometimes ran headlong into one another. That day, an academy player named Abner Doubleday sat down and on the spot drew up the rules for a brand new game and called it baseball. Abner Doubleday would eventually become a hero at the Battle of Gettysburg, and his game would become the national pastime, or so the legend has it.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the ground.
Good morning. Welcome to the Neighborhood Play with Christian and Joey. Christian, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I know y'all are heading to a White Sox game. Joey, how the hell are you?
Doing great. Happy to be on and talking some baseball with everyone. So a big weekend for the Cubs and Sox, a lot going on. Both teams at the top of their divisions, kind of. The Cubs are tied, but yeah, good things going down in Chicago.
And I changed my hat because the Florida State women's softball team's headed to the World Series, baby. Knocking out LSU.
That's awesome.
And Baton Rouge. Going back, we won it in 2016 and we won it in 2018. So there you have it. The Florida State Seminoles it was a hell of a game for people that missed it. Everything was rained out yesterday, so I ended up watching a lot of softball, and it was a hell of a game. And LSU played a hell of a game as well. But anyways, we'll move on to baseball, Chicago baseball specifically. This is our weekly Chicago baseball show for the people who are joining us for the first time. Christian and Joey, both lifelong diehard Cubs and White Sox fans respectively. And we're going to talk Chicago baseball every week at this time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, to get your Saturday going. Are we expecting good weather in Chicago at least today?
Me and Christian were kind of talking about it. We got about between 50 and 60 with sun, but it's going to be a little bit breezy out there. So for the people going to the games, I got a couple buddies going on my end. Me and Christian obviously go into the Sox game, but we're dressed warm because it's going to be a little cold, but it'll be a good time. Get a couple cold ones in there, feel all right.
But no rain?
No rain.
That's nothing but sunshine in the forecast for today. But hey, we're looking for a good one today from both teams. But a sunny day is all we're asking for.
And what time is first pitch in White Sox land today?
1:10, I believe.
Okay, so it should be warm the whole day then, right? So you don't have to worry about the sun going down. If it makes y'all feel any better, my pool is now officially warm enough to swim in. It was the 90s yesterday, so yeah.
Wow,
We're jealous over here.
I'll be doing that. I'll be watching the White Sox game. I'll just watch it in a swimming pool.
I could not envy you anymore.
Well, let's go right into it. What's the first topic that y'all want to jump off with today?
I mean, since the Cubs are hot and I've been knocking them a lot, I'm going to have to share a couple of statistics that have gotten back on the map. And actually, I got to give a little kudos to my pops because he sent me these yesterday. But the Cubs are 16-6 in their last 22 games, on pace to win over 90. So I did not expect that coming into this season after we traded Yu Darvish and looked like we would be not so good this year. But then the Cubs bullpen has a franchise record, 38 scoreless innings, or equivalent to 4 straight shutouts. So, I mean, that bullpen headed by Kimbrel all the way down has been very efficient this year. And the starting rotation has been very up and down. But if you can get when you get Chris Bryant and Javi Baez playing like they should be in their contract seasons and you have that great bullpen, it's led to 5 in a row and a tie for first place with St. Louis. So I'm really happy about that. And I hope they keep proving me wrong because I was a hater at the beginning of the season. I wanted some change, but I can't argue with what's happening.
You know, the thing about the Cubs is, do I think they're a threat to win the World Series? Probably not. But that division's winnable. I mean, I honestly feel like it's the Cardinals and the Cubs, and the Brewers are not nearly as good as everyone had hoped they would be. So I really think it's a 2-team race, and the team that doesn't get the division, I think, will get the wild card because you're not going to beat up on each other over there. I mean, the Pirates are terrible, obviously. I mean, that play with Javi Baez, what the hell was that? That's arguably the worst baseball player I've ever seen in my life. Do you give any credit to Javi on that, or you just think it's all full stupidity by the Pirates? Full stupidity by the Pirates. I mean, I give Javi credit for hustling, but dude, there were 2 outs in the inning. All you had to do is step on the damn base. The inning's over. And then he's trying to throw out the guy at home, which made no sense because all you do is tag Javi. Once you went all the way down there, all you had to do is tag Javi because there's 2 outs. It's a forced play. So it doesn't matter if that guy scores or not. The forced play is going to end the inning. And then I don't know what the hell they were doing. No one was covering first. Ball was rolling up. That thing was this close to an inside the Parker, because if that ball gets by the shortstop, goes rattling around in the left field, I think Javi's at least halfway between third and home by the time someone gets a hold of that ball. Yeah, that was definitely a circus-like play, and I couldn't see. I just got a replay because I was at work, and I was like, "What is going on here?" But
that's the way things have been going lately for this team, though. And you got to get a little luck when you're on a hot streak like they are. I believe winning 9 out of 11 and 5 on a row, like I mentioned earlier. So, I mean, today
I was watching I don't mean to cut you off. I was watching a show yesterday, and they were talking about this. And one of the guys kept arguing the fact that the catcher should have gotten him down in a rundown back and forth. The other guy kept saying it was a forced play. He never had to do any of that. He just had to turn around, step on the bag, and run to the dugout. There was 2 outs. That's it is the worst play I've ever seen in Major League Baseball, because not knowing the situation and making it worse. I don't believe I've ever seen anything. This is worse than when Canseco got the ball smacked off of his head and went over the field, or went over the fence for a home run. This is the worst play I've ever seen. I mean, this is Dan Orlovsky running out of the end zone kind of bad, right?
This is Milton Bradley throwing it into the outfield stands with 2 outs bad.
Who was that? Larry Walker that handed it to the kid, and then had to come running back to realize that there was only 1 or 2 outs. The inning had to come ask for the ball back. Yeah, this is that kind of bad. But I think it's even worse, because the simple fact of the matter is it was a forced play.
Yeah.
Even Milton Bradley's stupid thing was dumb. He forgot the outs, but it was a forced play. Why did you? It wasn't like the throw took him into the dugout or something. He had to go racing after the ball. That was wild. Tim Anderson, how's he doing?
Tim Anderson has been awfully cold of late, and that's an unfortunate regard. However, he's been reported to be a little injured. His thumb is reportedly a little on the fritz, so he's been sitting out for that reason the past couple of days. But I do believe he's back in the lineup today. But nonetheless, Tim Anderson batting about 287 right now, still above average, I would say. And I do believe he's primed for a bounce back, of course. But of late in the month of May has not been too kind to him, that's for sure.
Now, one thing I forgot to ask y'all, it's a doubleheader today. Are y'all going to both games? Or
we do have the option. We do have the option to sit through both games, but we were talking earlier that there's like a 45-minute delay between both games where they, allow players to chill or whatever and prep the field in that regard. But I'm not sure how I feel about the doubleheader as of right now. I'd like to stay, but just a little side comment. People like to comment about Javi Baez and Tim Anderson and who's the better shortstop in Chicago. It's a heated debate, and there's no doubt that
that's a
Almago is certainly exciting, but in some regards they both have a similar WAR. So I don't know. In both teams, they both play the same role, and I do appreciate that.
The one thing I like about Javi Baez over Tim Anderson, I never heard Javi Baez say he doesn't like baseball because it's boring. I will never forgive Tim Anderson for saying that. I've tried. But when you play the damn sport, you don't call your own sport boring.
I certainly hear you there, but I think he is definitely part of the lifeline of that team for sure. So, I mean, he plays a similar role, I think, as Javi Baez does on the north side, where when he's lighting up a fire, so too is the rest of the starting 8 or starting 9.
And I don't want to insult his intelligence, but if you think baseball is dull, you're probably one of the lowest common denominators. I'll just put that out there, because if you think baseball is dull, you don't understand the game. He plays baseball, so I don't understand him saying that. I know the man understands baseball. But anyways, I think it was a response to wanting more bat flips and all that kind of stuff, right? But the bat flips are one thing, and they're okay. I think this came out shortly after they got into it with the Royals a couple of years ago, if memory serves me correct, is when Anderson said that. And people are getting excited about the bat flips and I guess they don't flip bats as much, but the bravado that you're seeing from the Tatises and the Cuñas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Don't you think it's time for baseball needs a villain for this? In other words, they need pitchers that say, we're not going to allow that and bust more inside. It would bring more, I think more people would be on the side of the hitter, but it would bring more fun. Who's the pitcher y'all think would be the one? Because it's got to be someone good in their prime right now that has to go after him and say, enough is enough. Christian, I'll start with you. Who would be the one guy that you'd say, if that dude busts you inside, people would probably pay attention to the fact that they don't want to be shown up?
I was thinking the first name that came to my mind was like a Clayton Kershaw, a crafty veteran who's kind of like standing up for his own regard in that, and he's, been an elite player for some time. So I think he would be somebody that would maybe send a message like that across.
What about a younger player though? Because I feel like if it's an older veteran, they're going to look at it as, "Oh, you're just old man, get off my lawn." What about a younger player that you're like, if that dude brought the heat?
His teammate Trevor Bauer. I think that guy, he's got a little crazy.
But he's been pro that. So
yeah, he's been an advocate of
right.
I know he's just crazy. He's just crazy. That's what I brought him.
It's got to be someone who's going to be young and someone who's going to have a following that would go, yeah, screw them. Go after them. It can't be a little dude like Stroman either, because someone's just going to palm him by the head and throw him up in the stands. It's got to be someone who's younger. I don't even have an answer. I'm just curious what y'all's take would be on it. I mean, if a DeGrom did, I think everyone would take notice.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's his MO, but that would be great to see. I'd be fully on board as long as he didn't get injured. I'd be fully on board if DeGrom busted Acuna inside for his bravado. Being a Braves fan, I would still be like, all right, man, now we got some interesting stuff going on here.
Flaherty came to mind a little bit too. I guess he's a really good young pitcher on the Cardinals. He was 8-0 before the White Sox game last week but he doesn't have that same pizzazz either. I'd have to sleep on that one, I think.
All right. Well, fair enough. Moving on, I guess the next thing that we'll talk about is injuries building with the Cubs. Now, first of all, every team's hurt, but let's hear the Cub fan whine about it. Let's go ahead with this.
I mean, when I put the injuries out there, I can't really complain too much because it's more of our bench guys. Matt Duffy is one of them. Jason Hayward, who personally, I don't even mind if he ever plays again. I think the lineup's more full without him. And I'm sick of seeing ground outs to second base, so I don't even really mind that one. But our young player, Nico Horner, he was really doing good at the top of our lineup, hitting over 300, had a few steals. He hasn't quite had the power numbers yet that you want to sometimes see, but from a middle infielder like him with Hobby next to you don't really have to do that. He just has to get on base, and to see him flare up with that hammy, luckily it seems a little more short-term than long-term. But that's the one that got me the most from last week. But I'm not going to sit here and cry. The White Sox have really good players on the DL, like Robert and Eloy. So Cubs have a few, but it's mostly bench guys. So hopefully we can get Horner back sooner than later.
So I see that Hayward's not on the IL. Is he expected to play this weekend, or what's going on with him?
I mean, I wouldn't even if I assume he would be healthy, I personally would not have him in the lineup. If you could put, Bryant, talk about Chris Bryant. He's I just saw a stat on him the other day. He's played the most fielding positions ever for an MVP. I believe now he's played left, right, first, third, and center field. So, I mean, you want to talk about someone that just puts the team first and does whatever it takes, because he could easily be more of a guy like, hey, you know what, I just want to stick to third. So I would even put Bryant back in the outfield overseeing Jason Hayward ground out to second. I'm over that whole thing. The best thing he did was give us a World Series speech that prone to help us in extras. And how true that really is, I don't even know. So I'm over him. I'm ready to see more of the young guys play.
If it makes you feel any better, Jason Hayward is still locked in until the end of 2023, averaging about $22 million a year for the Cubs.
That's probably why we got rid of Yu Darvish, and we really would love to.
It is why.
We would love to have Yu Darvish right now. That's why I didn't get that move, and we didn't even get amazing prospects back. It's like, come on, man. Ricketts, you're killing me.
Of his $23.5 million that he's making this year, 23 of it is luxury tax salary. They're over the luxury. That was such a terrible. I know they won the World Series in 2016, the year they got him, right? But did he contribute that much to it? I mean, my God.
I mean,
Terrible.
he's a really good fielder, but the bat, obviously, all know, never quite lived up to par. That being said, don't want to rag the good guy too much. He's a great guy, but he's getting paid well. Let him sit there and watch the young guys play.
This goes more into the show we have earlier on Saturdays at 10 a.m., the fantasy baseball analytics show. And then the guys that do that show, they dive into these analytics, and I'm always like, you got to watch the game. You know, that's always my comeback. But Jason Hayward was a fantasy analytics, or not fantasy, but an analytics contract, because they saw exit velocity, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Jason Hayward, you know, with all the exit velocity that he's had in his career, and, you know, oh, the metrics say this and the metrics say that, he is a lifetime 260 hitter. And what's even worse is his sluggo is only 412 for a $180 million, $184 million contract. That's terrible. Terrible. I think, what's the most home runs he ever had? 27 in Atlanta. And then he's barely scraped. 2019, he had 21 with the Cubs. I didn't even realize that he actually hit that well that year. Almost every other year, he's been right at single digits or below. All right. Anyways, moving on from that, Dylan Cease. We actually talked about him quite a bit in the fantasy show today because he's having such an incredible year. How about Dylan Cease? And what a trade rape did they give the Cubs that year with Quintana and Cease? And then, of course, Jimenez was in the trade as well.
Thanks for reminding me.
What say you, Christian, for that trade rape that you gave your Northside brothers?
That was almost as great of the trade as acquiring Giolito from the Nationals. I will say that. But
that was another stupid ass trade, and I was glad to see it. As someone who has to face the Nationals yearly, I was like, thank God they got him out of that damn, because they would have had Strasburg, Scherzer, and Giolito. Thank God, because he had came up and pitched a few times. I thought he was untouchable. They traded him. I was like, what? For Adam Eaton?
Yeah.
Who's currently a White Sox?
And yeah, it's come full circle now, right? So thank you to Washington, I suppose. But yeah, this trade in question, Dylan Cease, you know, he's been, I mean, last year, his previous years with the White Sox have always been in question. You know, he was really still in development, but this year he's coming full stride. You know, I think it's like 5 of his last 6 he's won, one of those being a shutout. So, I mean, he's just having an immaculate year, averaging like well over 6 strikeouts a game right now. This is just a crazy Dylan Cease from what we were used to in the past, where it's nothing but walk, 7 pitch counts. You know, it's just full circle for him as well. And I'm really happy he's coming into his own this year.
Okay, so let's say the playoffs start today. Who is your ace? Is it Rodon?
I mean, that's a tough question to answer right now, because our true ace in Giolito isn't pitching up to what we've been expected to. But right now, with Rodon pitching out of his mind, Lance Lynn being the workhorse he is, if my starting 3 would probably be Rodon, maybe Lance Lynn, and then a Giolito. And then if there's a game 4 necessary, probably Cease. And then after that, you've got quite a few options as to where you can go.
Wow, really? Cease is your number 4? That's wild.
Maybe 3rd. I don't know. It's tough because their starting pitching has been great this year. Aside, like, Giolito's had a few rocky starts, but you know, he's bound for a successful year. So my opinion is, with his prestige with the team at this point, you know, he kind of deserves that top 3 spot at the very least. You know, that's my opinion.
That's wild to think that he would be so Lynn would be your, 2?
I think so.
Okay. Is that just from experience factor, or is that you legitimately have, because Cease has pitched so well, I'm surprised that he wouldn't be in the top 3.
I agree, but with his lack of playoff experience, you know, as you mentioned, it could work out well for them to have Lynn come and throw like 6-7 innings in a long game. You know, that's huge in the playoffs. We need inning eaters. And really though, the season could pan out much differently. But I'd like to hear your if you had to put it together, the rotation, what would your thoughts be?
I don't watch him as much, obviously, so I would tend to lean on what you're saying, but it seems like it's got to be Rodon. I believe his ERA is still below 2. So if
and Lance Lynn has an ERA of 1.5. So I mean, this is a tough one to put together. There's a lot of options.
I think I would have Cease above Giolito right now is my thing, because I do watch a lot of Giolito games because I have a couple of stakes of him in fantasy. And he's got an ERA above 4 and Cease is sitting below 3. That's my reasoning. But I see what you're saying. If you've got to go Rodon and Lynn, or is it Lynn, or is Lynn the one because of his experience, and the fans are like, you spend that much damn money on him, he might as well be the one spot. But let's say you go Lynn and Rodon, regardless, however you want to go. The third guy, right now it's Cease, but now obviously by the end of the year it could be a totally different answer. But to me, it's Cease because I'm too fearful of the Giolito that shows up in, like, especially if they're playing the Red Sox. Because when he imploded in Boston, I'm not sticking his ass out there if the series is tied 1-1 or down 0-2 and I'm in Boston. Hell no. I don't want Giolito out there with my life on the line. And if I do, Dylan Cease is in the bullpen warming up, like during the national anthem. Like, you just be ready to go. If the first sign of 1 inning, 8 earned runs, or 7 earned runs that day, we're getting him the hell out of there. But he also has the ability, at Minnesota, what was it, 8 innings, 11 Ks the other day?
Yeah.
He's really, really good, but he'll throw that donut up there, or that crooked number up there that in the earned run column that scares the hell out of you. So I think I would go Cease. What about the Cubs? If the Cubs are in the playoffs today,
oh man,
that's whoever they trade for in July.
Yeah, I mean, well, a little news. Cubs reporter Bruce Levine reported yesterday that they'll actually be buyers. If things stay as is and they stay within a couple of games, they will actually buy, which I'm really glad to hear, because I thought we were going to sell off a bunch of pieces, but it's been that good, so I can't really complain.
They're going to make a trade for John Lester.
Yeah.
Washington's going to be out of it.
Oh, the over the hill. I love Lester, but his last couple of starts have been ugly. If I had to pick a rotation right now, I'd probably still, even though Hendricks has had his ups and downs, I'd put him one as the veteran who's been there, done that. I would probably put I love what Alzaloy's been doing lately. I mean, I think he's got him probably crack into the top 3, and I thought I would never say that before the year. But I'm not putting Trevor Williams in that spot. Zach Davies has his up and downs, I guess, as a veteran.
Man, I don't want to start Zach Davies unless I absolutely have to.
So I think I'm going to go Hendricks, Alzaloy, Arrieta, 1, 2, 3.
And then bullpen game, because Davies, if he's not hitting his spots, it's like batting practice.
It's soft toss. It's fungo baseball.
I had a cup of coffee with him a few times in fantasy, and first time I watched him pitch, I've got to get rid of this guy. What the hell is he throwing up there, man? Because I saw the stats. He was out in Milwaukee at the time, or San Diego. I don't remember which one it was at the time, but anyways, I see him throwing out there. I saw the stats. He had a great ERA, and so I turned the game on. I was like, whoa, he like throws ephus pitches as his go-to. What the hell is he doing out there, man? I'm really surprised that Zach Davies is actually still in a rotation, because he's crafty. I'll give that to him, but he does not have the stuff to be a real threat. All right. The next one that we have up here is La Russa utilizing his bullpen effectively?
Yeah, so my thoughts on this are pretty simple. I'm afraid that Tony is kind of mixing around his bullpen a little too much when he needs to kind of stick to what he knows. Hendricks should be primarily our save guy and nothing more. He shouldn't be coming in in non-save situations, especially in extra inning games. I feel like there's really nothing for him to gain in that situation. To me, you save him for the ninth inning when it's a win situation and nothing more. Other than that, I'd like to see more of the younger guys in Cody Hoyer and Garrett Crochet. Crochet's easy 100-mile-an-hour fastball thrower, so maybe see him more in some late inning situations would be nice because he can really let the ball go, and I think maybe he's been a little underutilized to this point.
So you weren't able to make the show last week, and what is your take on the whole debacle with him not having Mercedes back in the whole swinging on the 3-0 pitch?
My take on it is, I think Tony is going to be stuck in his old baseball ways no matter what. And there's truth to that, that in that late of a game, there's no need to swing on a 3-0 pitch. But from the opposite end of the token, with your means contract, he makes coin off every home run he hits and then some this season. So I could see why he wanted to swing at that pitch. Him sitting him or maybe talking to him after the game, I could see. But beyond that,
I didn't understand why he would go after him. Well, I know he didn't. Okay, well, let me rephrase it. He didn't necessarily go after him, but he didn't have his back in the post game. He should have handled that internally. Is I guess my take on the whole thing, because it's one thing to say that you're upset because he swung when you I guess told him not to swing, but why does the media need to know that, right? I think of all the great managers, they would have said the one cliche, that's an in-house issue and we'll deal with it and then move on, right? And I just didn't think it was cool for him to go, because it's almost like La Russa was trying to defend the fact that I would never have a player do that. And I get what you're saying too, is that Mercedes is looking at contract, and this was my take at the time, and it's still my take. If it's that big a damn deal that he's out there swinging at a 3-0 pitch, then why do you have your designated hitter throwing the ball? If you're worried about keeping the runs down, then you go pull a guy out of your bullpen, okay? And then we'll play the unwritten rules of the game. But when you've got your fat ass DH out there chucking up ephus pitches, and I'm looking at, I don't know what his contract status is, but if he's a free agent, that extra home run could be a big difference in what kind of money he gets. Because let's say he finishes the year with 20 home runs or 30 home runs. If you sit down right below the 19 or 29, it makes a big difference in the mentality of the person re-signing you. Anyway, I just thought it was, go ahead, Joey.
No, I mean, let's call it like it is. It's just disgusting. Number one, the guy was in the minor leagues for a long time. Okay. See what I'm saying? Number two, he honestly, his job is to hit the ball. And if he hits it out of the ballpark, other teams got to stop. It's that simple. I'm not going to berate on it. I talked a lot last week, but come on, man, you get another one of those. It's just disgusting.
And you can't go with this, it's an unwritten rule, kadurt, and then out the other side of your mouth, Major League Baseball is saying, let the kids play. The hell, dude? And by the way, when we talked about this before, I've watched baseball my entire life. I've probably been watching baseball since, I'm going to round it around 1980-ish, okay, when I was a little kid. I've never heard of that rule that you're not supposed to swing a 3-0 pitch until just like the last couple of years when ESPN invented it.
Brutal.
The term was always dead red. He's sitting dead red on the fastball because it's 3-0 count. And I don't want to hear because it's a huge lead. Once again, if he had a legitimate pitcher in there and you're saying don't swing at it because you're kind of being an ass and then we're trying to get out of the game, okay, because you're trying to not wear out your bullpen arms. I kind of would have understand that. I still wouldn't support it, but I understand it. But I'll tell you this, Pete Rose was quoted as saying this towards the end of his career. They asked him about him getting his 4,000 and whatever hits, 4,200, whatever it was. And he said, and they asked him, how did he do it? And, obviously it was longevity. But the other thing he said, I never gave an at-bat away. At any point in my career, I never gave an at-bat away. No matter what the score was, I was trying to get a base hit. I was trying to get on base. That should be the unwritten rule. Anyways, we'll move on from that. Joey.
Yes, sir.
Going to Sunday game, the best seats baseball has to offer.
Well, and
is this blasphemy, by the way, because Christian's taking you to a White Sox game.
Well, so as a lot of people know, the Cubs used to have their bullpens down the first baseline. Giants have had that, a couple other teams, but a lot of them, as we know, moved under the stadium. Well, those bullpens have been moved, and now they have a couple rows of seats on each side, and we'll be right behind and near Anthony Rizzo. And it's all you can drink. It's all you can eat. You get your own little section. You don't even have to go by everybody else. Not that I care about that. It's low time. It's summer. It's mask free everywhere. It's awesome. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a family game. I don't get an opportunity to go with my whole family to a lot of sporting events. But this is the one time a year, Memorial Day weekend.
Where are your seats at?
Like right behind Anthony Rizzo on the first base side in the first couple of rows.
Okay.
So like literally my buddy sat there a few weeks ago and he was yelling at Todd Frazier, and Anthony Rizzo was like, dude, give this old man a break. You've been heckling him all game. So that's literally how close it is. And like I said, it's a fun experience. All you can drink, all you can eat. You get in down under with your own stuff. It's going to be a good time. So I got a lot of Cubs and Sox baseball and in my near future.
Do you go to the cheap seats, the bleacher bums?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Which
do you prefer? If you're not with your family, which would you prefer, sitting on the first base side or sitting up in the bleachers?
Honestly, this is going to sound crazy, but I actually like sitting in the outfield at Sox Park better than Cubs, because a lot of the people, first off, in the Cubs outfield, you can't walk around the whole stadium. You're just from foul pole to foul pole. It's a completely different section. So I don't know. I love it at the White Sox game when I sit in the outfield. You got the terrace up there. Cubs has a little bit of a one, but I'd rather sit first base at the Cubs stadium, be close to the action. And like me and Christian are doing today with his season tickets, we're sitting in the outfield, which is awesome. The sun is literally right on you, and right above you, you got a huge open terrace where you can just hang out with your friends, because we always see people we know. So outfield for Sox.
Yeah, the White Sox stadium, I sat in the outfield the game I went to. It reminds me a lot of the Mets stadium. And both of them were extremely underrated. Everyone will always talk about the Cubs stadium and the Yankee stadium in those cities. But I think structurally, and if you didn't have any allegiance to a team, I think the White Sox actually have a better stadium, just like I think the Mets actually have a better stadium. Now, the Yankees stadium is a little different because it's got some things in there that the Mets stadium just didn't think to have. And so there's some cool things. But as far as sitting in, when I was at the Mets games, the seats were comfortable. When I was at the Yankees games, do they jam you in there like sardines? And so just food for thought. If you're ever in New York and you're going to a ball game, don't believe the hype. The Mets stadium is actually pretty damn nice.
Well, and I feel you on the crowded part. That's what they do at Wrigley bleachers too. It's just
crazy. Yeah, Wrigley bleachers always looks like they're sitting on top of each other. That can't be very COVID safe in the end.
It's basically a drinking party in the outfield.
Yeah, drinking. Marlins Cubs game 2011, I think it was is I was out there in the out. Now it was during the weekday, so it wasn't quite as packed, but I could see where it could get out of hand. I was like, man, this is not. It was a really high scoring game. Both teams like basically just gave up on the game, and I forget the final score, but it was like something like 14-11 or something like that. It was a fun game to be at. But as we come up on the end of this, are y'all ready to play a little Pepper?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Food of choice for Wrigley. Joey.
I'm going to go bratwurst with grilled onions.
What about on the south side, Christian?
They got a pretty wicked bowl of nachos in the helmet. It's like a full-size helmet. You could damn near wear the thing after you clean out the bowl.
It's that big?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge.
Wow. I had a friend years ago that would always, well, we're still friends. We just don't live in the same area, but you know, you go to the gas station and they have the nacho chips sitting in the plastic, and then you're supposed to open the chips and you put them in, and then you're supposed to pump the cheese. Well, she would take the chips out and pump the nacho cheese full of cheese. Just like it would weigh like a brick. She would, call herself basically beating the system. And then one time her and her boyfriend got into it and he threw the nachos over the balcony of the apartment they were living.
Oh boy.
Watch out below.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was one of the funniest and most terrifying arguments I've ever been in the middle of trying to break it up, because they're both hammered drunk. They both came to the bar. She did it. And he yanks it over the balcony. She goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "You're too fat."
Oh.
Boom. The fireworks began. But anyways, that's more for Armchair After Dark kind of talk. Okay. Anyways, we'll move on from that. What's the best Cubs bar to go to, or, either go before or after the game, or maybe watch the game?
For after, I would definitely go to a bar named Deuces. It's got a great atmosphere, and upstairs and a downstairs. Nice dance area floor. A lot of fans flood the one street after games because they kind of do it more like the Red Sox now. They don't really have a lot of traffic right around the stadium. They kind of block off the sections around. So it's a better atmosphere to pregame it. If you're going to go during the game, you can never go wrong with Sluggers. That's just an old school classic. It looks like that has that old fashioned feel to it, kind of like Wrigley Field still does. But Sluggers, Deuces for partying after. And then, there's a lot, to be honest, there's a lot of good bars around there. You could go bar hop bar. It's different than the White Sox. That's where I will say, I think outside of the stadium, Wrigley is the place to be. And inside the White Sox stadium is the place to be because I think the food's better. But you can't beat the atmosphere around Wrigley Field.
Christian, best White Sox bar to go to before, after, during?
I will say that the one experience that's nice at the Cell is in right field, they have what's called the Goose Island Terrace. And you can actually get seats over there where you're sitting on like patio furniture and like couches and whatnot. And you get like full service bar and whatnot and waitresses. It's a really nice experience if you can ever get tickets to there, super cozy and great home run territory. And actually you're right near the away bullpen. So you can get watch pitchers warm up too. It's a pretty neat area of the ballpark to get a seat to.
Atlanta's got that in the right field corner. And then actually behind it, a lot of people can't see when you're watching a ball game. There's an actual bar with glass windows that you can see the entire game going on. So that's where I like to pregame at. And then you walk down into the stadium. And by the way, the new stadium in Atlanta is phenomenal. They built that for the New American. And what I mean by that is you got like seats that are like, almost like recliners, like
movie theater type stuff.
Yeah, they're wide. Like you don't get there and get squeezed in, because I'm a big dude. Most of these games, you're like, oh, here we go. They're gonna freaking cram me in like a sardine. You go to a Braves game, and it was built for the New American, man. They're like, bring your fat ass and sit down right there. Let's go, baby. Let's go. You want a beer? Take a beer. You want funnel cake? Get some funnel cake. You want something else? All this comes with the free defibrillator at your seat, by the way. It's great. And the final one, I'll give y'all a second to think about this. I'm going to throw it to both of y'all. By the end of the 2021 season, by the end of the 2021 calendar year, blank will be the most popular athlete in the city of Chicago. Joey, I'll start with you.
I can pick
all the sports, whatever sport, whatever. If there's a hell of a Northwestern player that I'm not aware of, whatever.
Is it crazy if I say someone who hasn't even played a snap in Justin Fields?
That's my thought process, but I was wanting to get y'all's take on it.
Because I'm going to eliminate the Bulls and Hawks right off the bat. They got good players in Levine and Kane, but either near or there. I'm not going to go with. And then in baseball, we talked about Timmy A and Javi, and there's other players, but I mean, Justin Fields, he already is the second most sold jersey behind Tim Tebow, actually, in the last week. That's another funny one. But these people are loving Fields. My buddies are buying shirts and jerseys.
Tim Tebow outsold him. That is,
yes,
that's asinine.
It would right now. So over the last week, the top three jersey sales in football is Tebow, then Fields, then Tom Brady. Top three.
This is why ESPN gets so pissed off at Tebow. I didn't realize that Tebow was leading the charge in jersey. So a guy that's not even going to make the team in all likelihood. That's hilarious. Christian, what say you? Is it Justin Fields or is it someone else?
Oh, it's easily got to be Justin Fields. I mean, it's like the second coming of Jesus here. We finally got a franchise quarterback. It feels good to know that we have a bright future ahead of us, whether Matt Nagy and company are leading the charge. Justin Fields will be a Bear. And, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people start getting that man's name tattooed on their ass with World Series or Super Bowl 2022, something along those lines, because it's a new hope like no other.
I would just caution, and the only reason why is Ohio State quarterbacks have not fared well in the National Football League.
Very true.
This is the same offense that they all came from because Day is running the same offense that Urban Meyer ran. That's the only thing I would caution. Now, people buying Tebow jerseys, I think it's idiots in Jacksonville who are Gator fans that are just going to buy them because they're going to want to have something to wear this summer, knowing full damn good and well that they were not. Because you know what it is? Gator fans have always wanted a Tebow jersey in Jaguar colors. And they're like, I don't care if he makes a team or not, right? If someone, I don't know if I'd buy it, but if someone gave me a Tebow jersey in Jacksonville, as much as I hate the Gators, I would probably even wear the damn thing because it's just a funny thing to wear. But if you're talking about paying full price for a Tim Tebow jersey, like $200, $300, dude, that's a stupid commitment because there's not much. The guy's 34 years old. The hell are we doing over here, man? I mean, God.
I love Tim Tebow, but that's blasphemy. People are just spending $150 easy for this thing.
Well, that just tells you that college football is still king in the South. That it doesn't matter what the hell's going on with their NFL teams. They still have their college football allegiance. Because if Jameis Winston starts going off in New Orleans, I'm going to go get a Saints jersey.
Wow.
There you go.
I'm a Jameis Winston guy, man. He brought us our last national championship.
That's fair. No, I'm the Florida State love
He's
is
eating
there.
them W's, man. He hasn't done it much in the NFL, but he was eating them W's at Florida State. It's a different culture in the South compared to other areas of the country that I've lived in, because no one could give a crap less about their college football in most areas of the country. In the South, it's college football first, and then religion, and then family. It's there's a reason why they play it on Saturdays, because if they played college football on Sundays, the damn churches would be empty. Dude, I'm tailgating. What are you talking about? Going to a ball game? Son, that's not happening. We come to the end of it. Christian, what is your walk-off for the day, sir?
My walk-off will be that tonight's game will feature John Means and Lance Lynn. I think that's going to be a super exciting game.
Is that the game y'all are going to, the early game, or is that the night game?
That's the nightcap, and now that I've recognized that those are the two pitchers, I think I may have to stick around for that one.
Not to, man. That's a hell of a damn. What's the early matchup?
The early matchup is Dylan Cease, I believe, against Matt Harvey, I want to say. Or I'm sorry, not Cease.
It is.
What am I talking? It's Keuchel. Dallas Keuchel.
That's decent too. That should be a little more higher scoring, but I mean that's a decent. Yeah, it's funny we talk about the top four and Keuchel's not even in the conversation.
I know, isn't that strange, huh? Just goes to show a little bit of depth they have there.
White Sox are good. What's your walk off, Joey?
A couple quick things. One, I hope the Cubs stay hot and are actually at the end of the weekend in first place all alone. But Christian, I might have to join you. I'm just afraid I'll have 25 beers if I stay for 14 innings worth and spend about $300 million.
Do it. So. All right. So my walk off for y'all will be, you got to learn how we do it in the South. When we go to ball games, you got to realize most of these college football stadiums don't sell alcohol, because if they're on a college campus, they just started doing it for some of them this past year, but most of them don't sell alcohol. It's, it's an old rule down here because you're in the Bible Belt. That doesn't mean that we don't drink alcohol in the stadium. You just got to know how to get a hold of a plastic flask that's not going to go off on some kind of stupid, metal detector or a wand or whatever. And if it's cool enough, which it sounds like it's going to be, you need a good pair of cowboy boots, because I have a flask to this day. It's plastic and it cups where your ankle would be, plastic, and it cups where your ankle would be, and you stick that bad boy down here in your cowboy boot. Dude, they even if they pat you, they think it's your ankle.
Hey,
it's awesome.
When I buy a double whiskey for $15, that's hurting when I hear something like that. I got to get a little smarter.
Yeah. And so what I do is I bring it in. I'll buy my whiskey and Coke or sometimes just a Coke, and then glug, 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 just keep making it. Now, make sure you don't drive afterwards. Or
No.
Or, do what I did for years before I got married. Make sure that you don't go home with the fat chick, because, she's buying you for years. All right, that's probably a good place to end this show. We'll see y'all next week on the Neighborhood Play with Christian and Joey.
Oh, man.
Take me out to the bar.